Lara returns to the main quest by scaling a dodgy old Soviet mountain base. She encounters some small resistance that is easily resolved with a well-placed shot on a poorly placed red barrel. Breaking into the deeper shafts of the mine, Lara casually burns some mercenaries to death to avoid a fight. It turns out that the rest of the Soviet installation is a massive fire hazard, which is easily exploited by our plucky heiress. There is also a shield dude. I have decided I do not care much for shield dudes. Our protagonist escapes and gets a well-timed save by Jacob, who I swear must have been waiting there for at least 10 minutes just to do that and impress Lara. It begs the question of where the fuck he was when I was fighting those shield dudes. Jacob plays local guide and takes Lara on a tour of the mines while dropping a history lesson on how his people were enslaved by Russia to do excavations. Just when proceedings are starting to sound like a boring school trip, Lara's natural ability to have everything around her fall apart in the worst way possible comes into play. I'm starting to think that Lara's average trip to Tesco's normally involves a 20-car pileup and several buildings being reduced to rubble. We find ourselves in a tomb, enabling Lara to get a small reading fix. She also finds a knife, which she immediately finds a use for. Multiple uses for. We discover a big huge door that Trinity have been in the process of forcing open. How do we approach this scenario? Does Lara attempt to preserve this large ancient artifact so that future historians will have a chance to study it in a more respectful manner? This question was rhetorical. Of course she does not. If there is even the remotest chance that there is an untouched tomb lurking somewhere behind that door, you can bet bottom dollar that Lara will make sure that thing is coming off its fucking hinges tonight. For once, the bad guys actually take the initiative and spring a surprise attack. These poor soldiers of misfortune represent an obstacle to Lara's continued exploration of what hides behind that really big door, and so they all must die. One shield dude in particular starts to get the upper hand, and it actually looks like this might be the end for our heroine. But he is eventually killed by a friendly grenade. Classic, uncoordinated henchman mistake. Lara abuses her natural ability to make things just fall apart and keeps applying chaos and fire in the general direction of the door until it decides to just give up and open. A little too much chaos and fire has been applied to the proceedings, and now we need to bail the whole level before it collapses. Sure enough, Lara's instincts are correct. As far as she is concerned, the tomb behind the massive doors is totally worth collapsing. An ancient underground cave system. Features include a big statue, tons of murals and art, an underwater section. It even has gardens. Totally worth triggering a seismic disaster deep underground, which will have untold consequences for the land above for the following decade, if not centuries. Turns out the new tomb also has squatters, led by Lara's new friend, Sophia. Sophia tells Lara to get out of her tomb. This is her tomb. Jacob turns up. Turns out Jacob is her dad, and scolds her lack of manners. He also tells her to stop trying to perforate people that he brings back for dinner. Lara remembers yet again that her dad is dead. Jacob has everyone in his hippie commune gather round so that he can tell them that they are fucked. The 21st century is just outside, and it has guns, explosives, drones, military training, and seriously overpowered end-level boss helicopters. All we have are some twigs and bows, and we only discovered the wheel last month. Lara takes this opportunity to make herself known and does some odd jobs for the tribe. She gathers some mushrooms and boar meat, rounds up some chickens, collects skinned rabbits, raids some tombs, which she was going to do anyway, shoots random targets, takes care of the local bear problem, shoots down a few drones, takes care of the local tiger problem, lights one of the massive torches, which it turns out to be the most difficult one, takes care of another local bear problem, rounds up some more chickens. After several hours of this, it actually is starting to look like these tribe people are taking advantage of Lara's well-meaning but slightly gullible nature. A brief appearance of end-level boss helicopter means it is time to stop dicking around and get this war started. Unsurprisingly, the tribe's people suck at warfare and lose pretty much immediately. Jacob makes the first good military decision of his life and gives Lara a shotgun. Luckily, the giving of the shotgun to Lara Croft was the only military decision he really needed to make, as she single-handedly Swiss cheeses an entire invading force. They are even forced to bring out a pyro dude whom I think was supposed to be a sub-boss, but Lara and her ability to circle strafe disagree. In hindsight, the enemy should really stop painting their only weak spots bright red. The game cuts to a brief interlude back at Evil HQ. Constantine has entered the full-blown Christ complex phase of his villainy. His henchmen radio in that his special strike team, including the pyro dude, were single-handedly wiped out by an angsty English archaeology student with agency and a natural affinity for pump-action shotguns. Constantine is not exactly thrilled about this. This has really muzzled his buzz. His sister, Lara's evil stepmom, tells him to stop acting like a little bitch, and then coughs a bit to remind us that she is dying. Constantine resumes his Christ complex, but does it a little more angrily this time. Meanwhile, back at camp, Jacob realizes realizes just how fucked everyone would have been if Lara had not shown up with her magical death brain doom wand. Our protagonist is confused that no one else seems to have her character-specific Wolverine-esque healing factor. Must be the results of her superior Croft genes. Also, her mere presence seems to be patronizing to all the normal folk who take roughly 6 to 9 months to heal from the same damage. Also, I think this guy stood in dog shit.